In this video, I want to talk about accountability. And let me begin with sharing a story. A friend of mine was running this execution process with a client that owned several car dealerships. And this senior executive met each week with the general managers and other executives in each of the car dealerships, which were each responsible for millions of dollars of annual sales. He met with them just once a week to ask about what they had done about those most important goals that they wanted their team members doing something about every day. Now, he didn't have time to talk to them every week, and it was before the Blaze Digital Compass, so he couldn't actually see what they were doing. So he actually met with them in person once a week. And the second week of running this process, each of the leaders, when he asked, how did you do on those top 2 goals we said we were going to work on across the organization? The first leader said, it was kind of a crazy week. I had to travel, I had this, that, and the other going on, and I just wasn't able to get it done. Sorry, boss. The next leader said about the same thing. Hey, I had some problems come up. We had some issues that we weren't expecting, and I didn't get those things done. I said I would get done, boss. I apologize. And as they went around the room, virtually every leader used kind of the same excuse. I was really busy, and I didn't get those things done. I committed to doing. I promised that I would do around those top 2 goals. At the end, the leader said, how can you possibly expect your managers and supervisors and frontline employees to do something about those goals if you're saying that you're too busy to do something about those goals? Now, frankly, that's one of the reasons we created the Blaze Digital Compass, because you can see every day, real time, the actions people are taking on goals. And you don't have to wait for a weekly meeting or a monthly review or a quarterly report out or something like that. He said, do you understand the importance of these goals? Yes. Are you on board with doing these goals? Yes. So what are you going to do this week about them? And each person committed to 2 or 3 things they were going to do about those goals that week. And so he said, next week, back in this meeting, same time, let me hear from you. Well, he was pretty excited, thinking, hey, this week's going to be different. Week 2. In the next meeting, the following week, the leaders came back to report on what they had done. And the first leader, he asked, a different leader this time, he said, so how'd you do on the 2 or 3 things you committed to everybody you said you would do? Just like you asked everyone on your team to do, and everyone on their teams to do, and everyone all the way down to the front line. The frontline mechanics, the frontline parts desk clerks, the frontline salespeople. And the guy said, hey boss, listen, my kid got sick and I had to run out of town to solve a couple issues with a client and so on and so forth. I'm sorry, I just didn't get these things done. The president was a little deflated, especially when he went around the room, and every leader, every executive of that organization said essentially the same thing. They all had some kind of excuse. They were really busy, and they didn't do anything on those most important goals that following week. And what the leader was thinking is, if they're not doing it, who else is not doing it in the organization? Is anyone doing this in the organization? And my friend said it's really interesting because he was in the room in this meeting, and the leader actually took off his glasses and set them on the table. And he said, you all know that I love you, right? And that I care about you, and I love working with you, and you're amazing people. But I got to tell you, I'm going to miss you, because what we have here is an integrity issue. If you're promising me as the president of the company that you're going to do these things each week on our most important goals and you're not doing them, how can I expect that anyone else will do them? So I'm going to miss you, because you're not going to be here much longer if this ever happens again. Well, my friend went on to report that never happened again, where everyone hadn't done anything. Now, every once in a while somebody has an excuse, and we understand that. Now, in some organizations, in manufacturing, we have several clients in manufacturing, several clients in hospitality and healthcare, who will actually have a standing daily meeting with the team members to have them share what they have done. And what they can do now is share right off the Blaze Digital Compass. Here's something I did yesterday to help us win. When you give everyone at every level of the organization a chance to share, here's what I'm doing to help us win. And when you have something like the Blaze Digital Compass, where from the C-suite to the front line, you can see what everyone is doing, and they actually can see what you're doing. So now it becomes this united front where everyone together is helping us win and make a difference. You see, it's not where you start, it's where you finish. In this process, we hope that you have the personal intestinal fortitude, the guts you might call it, to choose just one or two goals, maybe three, and then focus on those goals consistently day in and day out. Not by hammering people, not by beating people, but just holding them accountable, having them share, what did you do to help us win today? Giving them a chance to shout from the treetops or the housetops a little bit about, hey, here's what I did to help us be successful. That is the beauty of the Blaze Digital Compass, because every day, every person gets asked the same three things. How do you feel about working here? Now you know if you have some leaders or departments where there are some engagement issues, and you can start working on those instead of spreading peanut butter throughout the entire organization, because everyone doesn't need everything, but these few leaders may need some help there. Number two, they get to share how did they help us win today. And number three, you get to see how they collaborate on their team. Now, let me give you one last example. A good friend of mine is a client of ours that owns many, many Domino's restaurants. And he said, you know what I really need is for the driver to show up on time, dressed in the right uniform, and out of the restaurant within a minute and a half after the pizza comes out of the oven. If they do those three things every time, we're going to win. It's as simple as that. The problem is, he had no way of knowing if they were doing those three things, unless he was visiting a restaurant or had a district or regional leader visiting. But now, with the Blaze Digital Compass, he can actually see, because every leader is putting, every individual, every driver is putting in pre-assigned tasks. They don't have to even input the task. They can just check off, yes, I showed up on time. Yes, I had my uniform on. Yes, every time I left the restaurant in less than a minute and a half once the pizza came out of the oven. He said, now I've got data. I had lots of data that showed what the delivery time was. I had lots of data showing how long the pizza was in the oven, but I didn't have any data around what drivers were doing or the pizza makers were doing or others. Now he has visible data that helps him improve accountability at every level of his firm. Good luck. Have a great day.